flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jamie, will you pray, open the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we want to thank you for allowing us to gather here today. We ask that you please remember all the families represented at this table. We ask that you please remember the citizens of the town of Gordonsville and this council as it goes about the business on this agenda. These things we ask in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I'll call the meeting to order and have a roll call.
Councilmember Potts. Here. Councilwoman Biggs.
Here.
Councilwoman Bantrice.
Here.
Councilman Hart.
Here.
Councilman Proctor.
Here. Line item number 5, approval of minutes for November 11, 2019 for the council meeting. All finished? Any additions or corrections? Bill stand approved as read. Move to line item number 6, police report. Any questions for the chief?
That's a question to council. Assistant Chief Bass was wanting me to come to the council and see if he could get what I get hourly for the time he's filling in for me. For just the time I'm off with my shoulder surgery and injury. I told him I'd bring it to the council and let y'all decide that. He was wanting me to see if y'all could do that. Which I'm getting paid with workers' comp right now, which is about 66% of my pay. But I don't know how much longer I'll be out. I know at least to the end of the month, if not another month after that. But he asked me to ask y'all, and I told him I would ask.
Does the assistant chief already make more than the other patrolman?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how much that is, but he does.
What's the legal aspect on that?
I'm thinking, and the council would have passed the budget. Now, it's certainly a reasonable request. It's not saying that, but just whether legally we could do that. Are there particular salaries set out in the budget, Mr. Ray?
It's all under that department, not for that person, but they're all grouped under there.
Under that department, and the chief is charged with managing that budget.
Yeah, basically. Mm-hmm.
First blush, I might want to talk to the fiscal folks, but I think he could make that decision as the chief as far as what his budget is. I mean, it's his obligation to stay within the budget, and if that would do that, then I don't necessarily see an impediment to it. I don't know.
We would have to vote on it.
I don't know that it's a council issue. I guess it's a short answer to that. I think.
I just told him I'd ask.
My only question would be, are we going to retro back to when you went out on leave, or does it just start tonight going forward?
The time I'm out, or have been out.
Okay.
One question that I would ask is, if you do this in one department, how do you not do it in another department? or do it. That's the only part, you know, I'm not for or against, I'm not saying anything, I would just, that could come up.
Well, I think to be safe, probably the best answer is let's let Michael check and make sure there's no budget issue. I need to look, I didn't know about it, but I need to look at the policies, and we can still make up, if
Right.
it's something we can do, that could still be taken care of even after the
Well,
next
he
meeting.
has had to step up and take more duties on, this, that, and the other. But I, like I said, I just told him I'd come up to y'all and ask y'all.
I mean, I don't think it's a situation you can get if the chief had to be out for a day or 2 days.
Yeah.
But if you've got an extended leave like he's had to be on, let me see if you've got a policy for it for one, and I want to check and make sure there's no budget problems.
It might be something we could put a policy on,
It
you
could.
know.
Hopefully I'll be back
Certain amount of
shortly.
days or.
Yeah, because I mean, we may get into that later on, you know.
I mean,
Somebody
that's a
said,
door
well,
you-
2 weeks, you know, well, what do you do
Mr. Potts
then?
is correct. That's not a door you necessarily want to open without some pretty good restrictions to it. But, I mean, each head of the department's responsible for managing their budget. That's one aspect of it too. So if the council will allow, I certainly think it's a reasonable request. Let us do a little research and we'll report back at the next meeting.
Also, the parking issue is the truck stop has slowed down.
Yeah, they still park every chance they
There's
get.
still parking every chance to get,
Yeah.
we're still writing tickets.
They have written a lot.
Probably out of, probably close to 60 tickets so far.
Yeah.
I mean, and 95% of them pay just like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know, the easiest ticket to avoid, and they keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It ain't near as bad as it was.
And
for
probably
sure.
the ones we actually just warn, is twice as many as that.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and we don't write every one of them.
Right,
You know,
right.
Just go on what time of day it is,
Yeah.
how busy it is.
It is, it is.
Line item 7, fire report. Fire chief has left you a letter of resignation, effective November the 9th, 2019.
Appreciate you serving for the year.
I do want to have a few things I want to explain to you why this has happened. For one, this last chance I had to go to his fire orientation class, due to unfortunate circumstance, I had to miss it for a funeral. And I could have probably got the state to allow me a continuance on it to hit the next class that they had come up. But my work schedule is kind of keeping me, it's taking my time away from the fire department that I need to I can't be here when I need to be.
Right.
And it's selfish of me to stay as chief and neglect the needs of this department. But it was brought up that they wanted to vote for who I felt should be the next chief. And it basically come down to Danny Cow and Daniel Lefevre, which is half the votes went to Daniel. Danny got 5 votes, which is, that's majority of the guys. But it's still my personal opinion that I feel that Danny should be next chief, but it's not my decision. I feel that department needs that, they need somebody that's qualified for it. I'm not saying this to take nothing away from Daniel. I mean, it's still ultimately y'all's decision on what needs to be done. If it's y'all interview them and then appoint the chief the next time, or y'all appoint one tonight. But, I mean, I just want it to be done the right way. Like I said, I'm not trying to take nothing away from anybody, nor will I ever do that. But for the department's needs, I just feel that we need a person that's qualified the most for it. That's all I have to say.
Paul, did y'all have an election?
We did have an election Friday night, and as he said, Daniel won by 1 vote. The election.
Do that in the form of a
But
motion.
I was gonna say, what's the normal procedure on
One
that?
of them is capable of doing the job, so.
We normally, this has happened twice since I've been here, and normally they come back and they have, and ever who they want, we usually approve. Now, in this case here, I don't know what you do.
They're absolutely correct. You can make a motion to appoint. You can do interviews. It's the council's obligation to fill the position.
I personally don't feel qualified to interview for a fire position. I have talked with some of the firemen, and they had thought that the vote would be the best way to go about it. Sometimes in votes, they don't turn out the way we want. That's just the way I personally feel. I'm not down there with them every day to know what the best is for them. They do.
I will say, the election, we allowed Crowley to put his name on the ballot. And he got one vote out of the bunch, so
Did everybody show up and vote?
the three that was on the ballot didn't vote.
But all the rest of the
Other
firemen
than there,
did.
we called. Now, Aaron didn't vote, but Aaron's original recommendation was Danny.
Right.
But with others asking about Daniel, that he recommended to both of them come to the council, through the council, and I even spoke with Doug. He thought we should come up with the one we wanted. So I felt that we should have an election, and that's what we did. And that's how it turned out.
Does either one of you live in the city limits of Gordonsville?
And 2 houses down from the fire hall.
What about the other?
Yes, we do.
Both both of you do.
Yes.
I'm not a fireman.
What do we do if we wait another month? What happens then?
Who's
There's a letter
assistant?
that's got to be filled out and turned in by the end of the month. So,
Who's assistant chief right now?
Paul.
Oh, okay.
That's why Aaron resigned at our meeting last Tuesday night
Right.
and asked me if I'd step up till we got a new chief. And so,
If you choose to table it or consider it for a month, then I would recommend you consider a motion to appoint the assistant chief, the acting chief, or interim chief, however you wanna phrase it.
Are you qualified with that to fill out the paperwork? Are we?
I'm a county chief, and I don't,
Yeah.
I have to find a form that I have to send in, I don't know where it's at.
Well, no, I'm saying, or as far as the paperwork we received the other day, I know he's qualified, but, I mean, I didn't know if you, the form I left for y'all the other day.
I don't know that, I mean, I don't have to fool with that through the county for Carver does all
Right.
that, so. I've looked over it, I don't know the answers to a lot of them.
You know, Michael?
I haven't read it in depth. I can tomorrow and see.
Well, all I'm worried about is if we lapse. Wait another month and we lapse, and then we're in trouble. That's mine.
And I've not seen that document,
Right.
so I can't give you an opinion on that.
I
So-
can fill it if you need it.
So right now, we just need an interim chief to get the
Well,
paper, or what do,
you need to, you got, I think, probably two options. Well, got a ton of options, but two. One, you vote to appoint a chief. I have a motion, vote, appoint a chief. If you choose to table that until the January meeting, then I would think you might want to consider appointing an interim chief until that January meeting, so that somebody can fill the spot between now and then. And if he's willing to do it, then you could consider that. And then you would presumably consider which one to appoint as a permanent chief in January.
What is that called? The form that we've got to have filled out by the 31st of the month?
Assistant commissioners,
We'll lose our commission, is that correct? I don't know anything about it, but we'll lose our commission, and that's the only part that I don't wanna go through.
Then it may make more sense just to have a vote.
or we can just let their vote stand?
Correct.
They do?
Right.
We'd have to nominate based on their vote.
Okay,
We'd have to make a motion.
okay.
And both candidates have this qualification, correct?
He has more than he does.
Where's your husband at tonight?
At home with my daughter, because she has flu.
Oh, I thought he might have a nighttime job or something.
No.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna know the answer to some of those.
And he didn't come tonight because he didn't want to do this politicking problem. Because
No.
being on the part, it's not a politic thing. It needs to be done the right way.
Council, at first blush, it looks like it's executed by the highest ranking fire official at the time. So
So right now that'd be,
that'd probably be the assistant chief.
okay.
Right now, as we sit here tonight, and have to appoint somebody. But
But if we put it off a month, we have to come up with a plan, you know. If we're gonna interview, we need to, you know, that'll be I guess during the meeting, the next meeting.
yes, it's a public meeting. And Council, I'm not necessarily suggesting that. I just, maybe better just take a vote, whatever.
I make a motion that we go with Daniel LaFever as fire chief for the town of Gordonsville.
Daniel Freeman's been nominated as fire chief, so I need a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Barbara.
Vice Mayor Potts,
Yes.
Councilwoman Biggs,
Yes.
Councilwoman Van Treese,
Yes.
Councilman Hart,
Yes.
Councilman Prophet.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Daniel Freeman's the new fire chief. Line item 8, financial statements.
Just a little tidbit here. I've been working with the software company. For some reason, the property tax revenue has never shown a true number, and I have figured out why. I just have to fix it. But since October until now, we've taken in about $75,000 in property tax. So you can't make head or tails by looking at that number.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
whenever they download our taxes, they put an entry in there for the whole entire tax roll amount in there where it shouldn't be. So I've got to get them to swap it around where it's actually showing revenue. But because right now it says we're taking in $454,000, and that is not correct. So
I was gonna say, I was trying to compare them.
it's right at 75 grand. So.
I think I got 2 here too.
I gave everyone a snapshot of what's in the bank if you're interested.
Any comments on the financial statement? Item 9, city recorder report.
I'll make this quick. Christmas bonus, if we're gonna do it, it has been budgeted for the whole entire, everybody. But I just wanna make sure everybody's on board, because I don't know how it's been in the past. I don't know if you guys normally make a motion or just go with what's put in the budget, so.
We always give the employees $250
Okay.
Christmas, and all committees got a $50 gift certificate, and so did the employees.
Okay.
It's already in your budget, and I think you have to take a vote.
Just wanna make them aware because of.
It's already on the budget.
Next is, I've got a quote to get real antivirus on their computers, because all we've been using is the free version. We don't have a proper program. I got 2 quotes, one from Computer Security Associates, which was recommended by DTC, and then one from Isengard Technology Group here in town. Both of them are about the same price, the same products and everything. It's for 10 computers, which will take care of the office as well as the police department. So in case we get a ransom demand on one of our computers or something right now, we'll be completely dead. So I wanted to try to up something. We're looking at just shy of $400 for 3 years. And that covers 10 computers. And they're giving us a half price rate because we're a government entity. So there's plenty of money in the budget to do that. I just want to make you guys aware of what we'll be doing to try to kind of upgrade a little bit. And the last thing is just a tidbit. We actually got the building swapped over to the fiber optic internet on Tuesday through DTC, and it's actually going to make our bill go down probably $20. So, and it actually comes with a deal with, I think you get 500 minutes of long distance, which now we're having to pay for a minute that we use. So, kind of worked out in our favor all the way around. That's all I got.
Any questions? Line item 10, the audit report, December 12th, 2nd, 2019.
Probably, do you want me to do that?
Yeah.
The audit committee had its, I suppose, inaugural meeting on December the 2nd, and elected a chairman. Mr. Prophet was elected chairman, and forgive me, but I don't remember I think Mr. Hart was vice, then we had a
Right.
secretary as
Right.
well. Ms. Biggs, and then the audit committee voted to set an agenda and one particular issue in an executive session, which was considered. There were some issues that arose out of that they wanted to see some additional information, and have reset a meeting for December the 16th, a week from tonight, I believe, at 6 p.m. I suspect that what would happen is some findings would come out of that meeting to be presented to the full council at its January meeting. So that it's whatever the issue was, they just have to issue recommendations. I feel like they're going to ask again, not being on the committee, but I feel like they're going to ask the full council to possibly look at the charter, maybe amend some things in that, which requires quite a process, but not impossible by any means. But next meeting's December 16th, and there'll probably be more information at that time. It took a bit to get set up. It'll be in the first meeting and all.
Questions?
And in the future, if the council, if you individually get something you feel that it's appropriate to put before that committee, that can come to the mayor, the city recorder, or myself, and we'll put it on there. I don't think they have decided yet how often they will meet. I suspect if there's not a pending pressing issue, possibly quarterly. And so if something arises, though, and it's something that committee needs to see before it comes to the full council, just give it somewhere, and we'll make sure the meeting has to be called. It just has to be.
Questions? Line item 11, any new business? Old business?
Council voted on the DTC, allowing DTC to come in because of the election commission wanted to use this as a polling space. And the only follow-up, Mr. Ray and I got the agreements, and there was nothing to them, not nothing to them, but there was no issues with them. So we looked at those, and apparently don't think that'll be a problem in what they're wanting to do.
Anything else? Motion adjourned.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second that motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.